Well, good morning, Mr. Ryan, and Happy
Good
New Year.
morning.
Happy 2026.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for joining me today for this franchisee interview. My name is Jenna. I am the franchise development director here for Right at Home, and candidates love to hear from franchise owners to get a balanced perspective of what it's like to be an owner with Right at Home. So I
Sure.
appreciate your time today. So let's get started. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Where you are located, when you became an owner with Right at Home, and the number of territories that you own.
Sure. So my name is Ryan Nagel. Uh, I have a business partner, Brian Hensley, and he and I actually opened doors to our first right at home territory in August of 2016. So this later this year will be our 10 years in the system. And then we own three territories total now at this point.
Right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
10 years, that's pretty awesome. What was your background before you became a Right at Home owner?
Prior to Ride at Home, I was raising money in nonprofits. That's actually how I met Brian, my business partner. He had a similar role. And then prior to that, in sales of various types in some tech companies, and then also branched out on my own several times doing other entrepreneurial things, and uh, that's pretty much my background.
Okay. And so what caused the pivot to this industry?
Um, well, when Brian had approached me about looking at opening a business, I, of course, had the itch to get back at it again,
Mhm.
and um, really looking for something that was going to cement us in the community a bit more. I'm not originally from Chattanooga, but but I had been here a while. At that time, my wife and I had one kid. We now have three. But just looking for opportunity to build something that I would do for a longer period of time. At that point, I was kind of build it and get out, and looking for something a little bit more steady in that way. And then with the nonprofit background, as I learned about Right at Home, the opportunity to help people really stood out among, kind of the other opportunities we had to start businesses. This one was had a very clear impact, and that would, help sleep at night,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and that was really kind of what tipped the scales towards home care and right at home for sure.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that. And I know over these 10 years, I'm sure your roles have shifted quite a bit. So
Yeah.
why don't you talk to us a little bit about those beginning stages and what that typical day looked like, and then compared to now and how you've been able to shift your role in the business.
So when we opened our first territory, it was from scratch. It was
Mhm.
not previously owned. And so we had 0 hours on the calendar and zero employees that first day. And so it was all about trying to figure it out and navigate what selling a service like this would look like. I mean, we obviously prepared prior to open day, but it was uh, it was very, very new,
Mhm.
and we were young guys in an industry that was we were still kind of before the big wave of new ones and after the initial wave of the ones that had been open, the home care agencies in our area that had been open for several years at that point. And so we were kind of the end of one era and the beginning of another. And so it was very confusing in that way. However, we had a couple early wins in the elder law, elder attorney space, um, with kind of some complicated clients. We had trouble selling to healthcare referrals at first. And
Mhm.
so that was really where we ended up finding our niche was in wealth managers, elder law attorneys, trustees, and and just kind of a different market for us for a long time. And so it was tough. It was slow for us. I think it's much more ripe for faster growth these days than it used to be. We were still
Mhm,
kind of doing a lot of education. What is home care? 10
mhm,
years ago.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
so that I think has changed quite a bit now. And so I think people can get up and off the ground quite a bit quicker than we were able to.
mhm,
But yeah, those early days were a lot of just hiring people for work that didn't exist yet, and
mhm,
then just scrambling to do our best to backfill and give them that work.
mhm. So how would you say that shifted to now? Three territories later,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So we have a large office team. We rent three offices,
Mhm,
one in each territory, and we manage the uh, that office team. Most of those operations are centralized in Chattanooga, but we have sales in each territory. The way we structure things, we tend to have the outlook of unless we get paid to do it, we're going to pay someone else to do it.
mhm,
So we've made the decision not to offshore, although people do. We do outsource, but we don't offshore. And so recruiting, we work with a vendor, our HR and benefits administration, we work with a PEO um, or a professional employer organization. And then after hours on call, we work with a vendor and bookkeeping,
mhm,
even office staff hiring. We work with a vendor for that as well. So we do our best to assemble our team in such a way that anyone that's working directly in the office is really focused on caregiver retention and caregiver satisfaction and
mhm,
client satisfaction, and then of
mhm.
course sales, uh, getting people in the top of the funnel and closing those clients.
Wonderful, thank you. And when you think of the support structure that Right at Home does provide to our owners, which part would you say is the most valuable, or well, what have you found to you in value?
Yeah, over the last 10 years, I think the resounding kind of through thread that has always been true is generally the coaching staff, right? So um, they're really the point person between the owner and the rest of what corporate offers,
Mhm,
and they're all in our experience, very responsive, very knowledgeable, and probably the best resource if you're looking to connect to other owners as
mhm,
well,
mhm,
because we don't really expect right at home corporate to always have the answer of running a home care company, but we do expect a knowledge base of what owners are doing in the system that's working, and
mhm.
I want to be connected to those owners.
Yeah.
And that's just an invaluable part of the system and has always been. It's just the transparency of the ownership
Mhm,
groups
mhm,
and the owners is just we never expected it. This is my first experience with a franchise in my kind of entrepreneurial background,
mhm, mhm.
and truthfully I didn't really know what to expect, but it definitely was not the amount of transparency and access that we have to each other has just been really amazing.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And, I hear a lot as I take candidates through this education process that, they are always curious as to how we collaborate within the network. So, when you think about your role in the Strategic
Mhm.
Leadership Council, I'd love for you to give a little bit of insight to other ways that we're able to collaborate within the network on an intimate level, if you will.
Sure. So there's Strategic Leadership Council, or we call it the SLC, which is made up of 8 elected positions that are owners from each of the 8 regions that the country's broken up into. And then there's 4 appointed seats for a total of 12 franchisees or owners that are helping represent the the other owners in their regions as well as just the ownership as a whole, and representing those owners views and challenges or things that they're doing right, kind of best practices, and bringing those to the corporate team, as well as helping pilot and facilitate task forces under kind of big things that not only corporate but the system and home care in general is trying to tackle.
Mhm.
Uh, Hiring enough caregivers, keeping the good ones,
Mhm.
finding new sales funnels for clients, looking for partnerships to pursue, and you know how different types of technology, especially emerging technology, uh, can kind of weave itself into our home care businesses, and how we can make uh, you know not just help more people, but as an owner, make more money. I mean,
Mhm.
that's why it's a big part of why we're doing this. There's a lot
Yeah.
easier ways to do it, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
and so we want we want to push the corporate team, and we want the corporate team to push us to all be better together.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And I know you shared you have a lot of different types of referral sources. You found your, niche in the community with those different referral partners. So you're getting a lot of different types of clients. And this is a relational business, right? So those
Yeah.
relationships mean a lot in this business. So I'd love for you to just share a recent story of one of those clients where, it was a sort of a feel-good moment, if you will.
Yeah. So I think probably one of I'm going to tell two. I'll keep them short.
Sure.
One is on the referral source side. So, um, a friend of mine, uh, sent me a message one day and said, "Hey, you need to meet this person. Uh, they're one of their kids actually is in your kid's class at school, and it turns out they're an executive director of a big home health in the area that has recently grown pretty significantly, and they're going to be opening up new branches. And now I see them at school sports games and things like that, and you just never know
Mhm.
who is around you that can have a big positive impact. I mean, that's an easy one. I think from a client standpoint, um, I got a call one day, actually from an existing client. They had been a client for several months, and
Mhm.
I typically am not the first line of defense for those,
Mhm.
where the complaint goes straight to me.
Mhm.
So I was ready for something big,
Mhm.
and it turns out they they saw they saw an ad in our church bulletin where because I'm a parishioner at the church, and they saw
Mhm.
my name, and he called me to quiz me on whether or not I really go to that church, because he's unable to go every week
Uh-huh.
unless our caregiver takes him.
Oh.
Uh, and so he called to quiz me on that, and was extremely delighted to hear that I am a parishioner at the church, and we've been able to connect. I had no idea he went there
Mhm.
until this phone call, and so now we've been able to connect, and we see him at mass
Oh.
every weekend. So there you go.
Oh, yeah, those personal touches,
Yeah,
they make
yeah.
a world of difference in this business. So, and as we come to a close, as I shared, candidates look at these interviews really to, consider right at home as a home for them, if you will. So, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who is currently looking, at ownership with right at home?
Well, I think everyone needs to ask as many questions as they can.
Mhm.
And I believe when I went through validation, the recommendation was speak to 3 to 5 owners.
Mhm.
Well, we ended up speaking to about 35 owners,
Mhm.
um, and every single one of them uh, offered their time, because if they're in the system, and they believe in it,
Mhm.
and I think one thing that I could say is it's definitely not easy. There's no automatic button or magic wand,
Mhm.
but it's been very clear that the work that goes in, there's a benefit that comes out.
Hmm.
And it's hard to stick through it sometimes in the beginning,
Hmm.
but like I said, these days so many people are familiar with the brand, and so
Hmm.
many people are familiar with home care in general, and don't don't assume that you know the answers. Go ahead and pick the brains of people that you
Hmm.
have access to, because everyone's just so willing to help.
Hmm.
It's just that's truthfully been the most uh, pleasantly surprising part of this whole journey.
Yeah.
Um, and I still every week I'm on the phone with other owners asking questions because somebody's been there and done that.
Hmm.
And there's new people coming in with new ideas all the time, and I want all those ideas. So be a sponge and know that other people are in the same boat, which is always helpful. And and don't yeah, just don't be intimidated
Hmm.
by other owners either. Sometimes when you once you're in the system and you're going, you'll see, some big time folks that own these big home care businesses, and they are the most kind and welcoming people that you can imagine, and they're all very happy to share uh, some advice and some cautionary tales as well, I'm sure.
All right. Great advice. Thank you. And thank you again for taking time out of your day to meet with me. I know how busy you are. Congrats on your success and your commitment to doing good in your community. We are
Thank you.
so happy to have you in our Right at Home family, Ryan.
Thank you very much. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Uh-huh. Thank you.